for small businesses in Kentucky?
I'll tell you, it's not unique to Kentucky. Frankly, you wrestle with it in Virginia and everywhere else as well. I pledged about 6 months ago that during my term, and we have the ability to get reelected if we're so inclined and the people so choose. Unlike you, where you get one shot, you get 4 years of opportunity to make an impact. But I said, I'm going to assume I only have 4 years. And Lord willing, I'll have at least that. And so one of the things I said we're going to do in the next 3 years is when I announced it. I said over the next 3 years, I want to cut 30% of all the regulation that affects our state, the red tape. There's regulation that's good, but we have more than 4,700 regulations that are comprised of, when you break them down, more than 130,000 rules. And I don't know what you've got for an equivalent here in Virginia, but it's probably not too dissimilar. And I'm quite confident. People said, well, isn't 30%, that seems kind of steep. Isn't that a little too much? And I said, for the love of Pete, think about that. If I cut 30% out of 130,000 rules, I still got 90 some odd thousand rules. I'm pretty confident we can govern the people of Kentucky with 90 something thousand rules. And so my argument is that we can cut red tape, and the wonderful thing about it, Republicans like it, Democrats like it, liberals like it, conservatives like it, nonprofits like it, for-profits like it. Nobody likes red tape. And so we set up a website called, that you can go to redtapereduction.com, check it out for yourselves if you'd like. But redtapereduction.com, I've encouraged Ed to think about doing similar things. And what we do is we ask the public, anyone who anywhere is encumbered by something where they're doing the same thing 2 times, 3 times, they wonder, why are we doing this? You know, I feel like I'm filling out the same thing. I don't even know why it serves a purpose. Let us know, and we'll review it. We've already gone through 28% of all of the regulations. 50% of them are either slated to or have been repealed or updated.
Wow.
And so we're moving with a sense of purpose. Now, there's still a long way to go. And some of them are easy, low-hanging fruit. There's also legislation that we're going to look to introduce in this session that's actually being introduced that's going to allow people to be able to sunset for any new regulation that'll come in, that there'll be a sunset clause. That after 7 years, it's being debated how many years it will be, but probably 7 years, it would sunset, and then people in the next legislature at that point in time would have to say, we still want that regulation. So it's that kind of common sense. It's not complicated, but that's one example. We could talk about other things, but there is a lot. I'm a believer in moving with a sense of urgency. And again, especially when you only have 4 years. I mean, I feel for the challenge you have, but I'm here because I truly love Virginia. Heck, we were once a part of you. We're crying out loud. We're like your western cousins. We just went over the other side of the mountains and stayed there. But I mean, this is who we are. And we're people with similar values, similar demographic in many respects. But the things that you need are the same things we need. And the solutions are frankly simple. They're not complicated. We don't need lots of more government to sort stuff out. We just don't. We really don't.
Now, Ed, your parents were entrepreneurs. You're a serial entrepreneur. What the governor's talking about sounds pretty exciting. We talk about this a lot, but will you tell the audience what your plans are for cutting red tape and regulations when you're governor of Virginia?
And it is a central focus for us, as most folks here know. My focus is on creating jobs and getting our economy growing again, because we've been stuck. And we've been stuck for 5 years, and we've got to be honest about it. You know, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting.
That's right.
And the fact is that our economic growth rate in 2015 was 2%. That's anemic growth, and that was the first time in 5 years it was above 1. And we have 3 straight years now where more people have moved out of Virginia than into Virginia. And that reflects the lack of opportunity, which reflects the fact that, you know, 5 years ago, Governor, Virginia was #1 on the list of best states to do business on CNBC.
We recognized that as people left us and opportunities passed us by.
But unfortunately, we've dropped. And so we're not even in the top 10 now. We've most recently dropped from number 12 to number 13. And so we've got to turn that around, and regulations is key to that. And you're right, I grew up in a small business. My parents had a mom and pop grocery store, the JC Market. And I've seen the impact that regulation has on small business from the time I was working there, which was when I was 12 years old. You started working at the JC Market, my family. And I saw it in my own businesses that I started. Kathy and I know what it's like to put your house down as collateral on a loan so that you can make payroll and pay the rent for the first year you open your doors. And I know we have to make it easier for entrepreneurs to take those risks and for small businesses to meet those challenges. And regulation, we are a more heavily regulated state than a lot of people realize. For example, the 9th most stringent state in the country when it comes to occupational licenses. You have to get a lot of licensing here in Virginia for a lot of different jobs. Upholsterers. If you want to be an upholsterer, you've got to take a state exam, get a state license, pay a state fee. Barbers. I mean, there are some things we want people to have licenses. I want my dentist to have a license. I don't need my barber to have a license, right? You know, anybody gone to get a second bad haircut from a barber? I don't need a certificate. I can figure this out. And so, you know, we've got
Does
to.
that explain anything?
Yeah.
Sorry, but
I think this will turn out all right. But the fact is that we need to tear down barriers to entry in Virginia because they protect existing, often big businesses, and they hurt startups and small businesses. And the burden of regulation hits small businesses much harder than big businesses. And we do go through. We have Republican governors every once in a while go through, tear them out. George Allen went through and did a regulatory review, filled out a bunch of regulations. Bob McDonnell did. But then they crop back up again. It's like kudzu, and we're at a point where we need to go back. And I think for every new regulation that we enact during my governorship, I would tell you that every new regulation we enact, we're going to repeal or replace 2 old ones.